Good afternoon. How y'all doing? It's a pretty Thursday outside. It's a little cold, it's a little wet, and I think it's a little bit cloudy, but that's what I think is pretty. So, I am glad it's not hot. It was hot the other day. That's not good for me. I'm a big guy. It's not good when it's hot outside. Um, but thanks for coming to Casey's Take. We're gonna hang out today. We're gonna talk some sports. We're gonna talk a little bit about UT baseball. We're gonna talk a little bit about UT basketball, and we're also our first take is gonna be talking about the fact that football is no longer here. And then I'm just gonna talk like be depressed for a whole minute because I don't have football to talk about. And I'm gonna tell y'all kind of what this part of the year looks like for me as a primarily a football fan. And of course, we're going to end it off with high school sports because we do that every time. So let's go ahead and get into the show. First take, football's over. You can read it down there on the bottom. If you can't read it, I'm going to explain it to you. From those of you that don't know, Rihanna did her little halftime concert, and then the second half of football was a few weeks ago, and second half of that Super Bowl, that was the last football game that we got. It usually takes me a little bit of time to kind of decompress and understand everything that's going on, especially just with sports, because there's always so much going on. Um, you when it first happens, I mean, you're just like, oh yeah, the Chiefs, they beat the Eagles, and then you can look at stats and you think about it. But then, as a few weeks go by, you start to really think about the season. You start to really think about the future of your team, and of course, this being America, we love football. Football is our favorite sport as a whole. It may not be yours, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be. But as a country, football is primarily everyone's favorite sport. And I think the ratings on TV show that. And I mean, as for me, I love baseball and I love bowling, but there's just something about watching football, and I think most of us would agree. But every year, it's one of those things where you would think you'd start to get used to it, right? Like you would think you'd be like, oh yeah, football season's over now. Now we got Daytona and pitchers and catchers are reporting, and we'll have spring training baseball, and which we're starting to get through some of that. We're starting to get into some of that. Daytona was last week. We've had a few spring training games already, or maybe no, they haven't even started that yet. Maybe they have. I don't know. Yeah, they have. They started playing the other day because the Braves lost on a walk off. I don't even know no. The game ended in a 6-6 tie because the Braves player took too long to get into the batter's box. That's something that we're going to have plenty of conversations about later in the year. But you kind of have to reset, right? Because football is a violent sport, and there is about 3 hours worth of action that you'll watch on a screen, but usually within a game, I think most of the data shows that there's somewhere between 17 and 21 minutes of actual playing time, like when somebody's actually doing something on the field. And so it's just such a violent and active sport. I think there's a certain mindset that comes with football. And then when we don't have it, especially me, and I'm just talking about myself, but then again, this is my show and that's what I do every week. But I know I've gotten so used to the way I watch football. You kind of have to reset because basketball is different. There's absolutely no stopping the action. Something could always be happening on the court that could affect the game. But of course, it's, they're not 300-pound grown men trying to kill each other physically. It's not the 80s anymore. They used to do that. But I don't know. I just feel like football is such a different sport that you have a different mentality while you watch it. And when it's over, like I said, you do have to kind of reset and kind of get back into the groove for other sports, if that makes any sense. Because baseball, listen, I love baseball, and I know there's a stat. We'll talk about this too. There's a stat I saw last night, and I showed it to a friend of mine. It showed the number of major league teams that are hitting under 240. Well, anyway, that number has grown exponentially over the last decade and a half, or maybe really just the last decade or so. But baseball is primarily a sport where, I mean, if you go to a game or even if you're sitting at your house, I mean, you can You can usually get up, go to the bathroom, grab you a drink, or go to the bathroom. You go to the kitchen, grab you a drink, or go to the bathroom, use the bathroom. You can do whatever you need to do, and you might not miss a whole lot. I understand a lot of people think baseball is boring, but there are a lot of great things that are happening, even though you don't understand it. People that say baseball are boring, I don't think they realize what's going on now. Baseball is more boring than it has been in past years because the 3 outcome rule and everybody's just trying to hit home runs. But back to my point, it takes a lot out of us. Football does. And these other sports, it's going to take us a little bit of time to kind of get warmed up to them. I know you baseball purists are ready for baseball season. The basketball fans just got All-Star Weekend. Hockey is listen, I'm not a hockey person, but I understand it's a big deal to a lot of you. Hockey's up and going right now. I don't think the playoffs are close, but they're probably halfway through the season in hockey, or at least close to halfway. So all the other sports are rearing up, they're getting going. But man, football's over. And I hate when football's not being played. And y'all want to talk about the XFL? Talk about the XFL. I don't care. I can't make myself watch it. In fact, if you take a random game that's not a playoff game in the NFL, I can't watch it. If the Titans aren't playing, or it's not a playoff game, or I don't have like 3 or 4 guys on my fantasy team playing, I'm really not going to watch that game. I'm just not. Like this year, let's say the Cardinals and the Raiders, I didn't have a player on either team. If that game's being played, I don't give a crap about anybody that plays for the Cardinals or the Raiders. I don't give a crap about none of them. I'm not watching that game. I'm not watching, even if it's a fun game to watch. It may be on my television, but I'm not going to pay any attention to it. But when football season's here, I get Tennessee football on Saturday. I get Titans football on Sunday. It's a whole different mindset. Now we got to kind of, like I said, reset, get ready for these other sports, and that'll be okay. Because I like baseball. I love NASCAR. And I'm going to tell you why I love NASCAR. Because I know I can watch the first 10 laps and I can watch the last 10 laps, and I have seen the entire race. Now, all of you NASCAR, like real hardcore fans and purists, you are probably boiling right now. If you're watching this, you probably cussing me 3 ways from Sunday, and that's fine. You don't have to agree with me. But if a race is 300 laps, I can watch the first 10, I can watch the back 10. And the other 280, I'm going to sleep. Because if it's on a Sunday and I've finished all my work, I'm going to take me a few minutes just to chill out. And by a few minutes, I mean 280 laps a few minutes. NASCAR is perfect for that, for me. As long as you got the audio down enough, the volume's got to be low enough because those engines are loud. You don't want to sleep. It's hard to sleep through that sometimes. But NASCAR is good for you because you don't really have to pay attention. There are some other sports, like I said, you got to reset. We don't have football, but that's okay. We got baseball, we got basketball, we got hockey for some of y'all. So, keep your head up. Football will be back before too long, but it's over right now, and that'll be okay. We're going to do a DMA read real quick, and then y'all get to watch my Michael Bay commercials, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk some other stuff. So, Casey's Take brought to you by DMA Orthopedics and Dr. Anthony Tropiano. Dr. Anthony Tropiano provides patients with prompt, effective treatment using the best technology available and in a manner that is compassionate and understanding of their needs. Dr. Tropiano is a board-certified orthopedic surgeon. Call 615-441-4522 today. That's 615-441-4522. Commercial.
At Dixon Medical Associates, your health is our #1 priority. With over 40 providers, our goal is to bring excellent, convenient, and comprehensive medical care to our community. Dixon Medical Associates, a destination for care.
Now, our second take is we're going to talk about UT baseball a little bit. They had somewhat of a slow start. I know they lost the first few games, And the shortstop, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name, first of all, because I can't remember it. And second of all, because even if I knew it, I don't think I can pronounce it correctly, because I do remember it being, I do remember the name being somewhat unique. I'm glad I thought of that word. I didn't know what else to call it. I don't want to mess up his name. Maui, I can't remember. But, of course, he didn't play. There was somebody else that didn't play. Tennessee had a really slow start, and this past few games, I know Tony Vitello had a what do you call it? Suspension. He was suspended by UT, which I don't know why. Of course, it must have been some sort of recruiting violation or something. But Tony got suspended by UT. I thought he was suspended by NCAA, but he was suspended by the actual school. They self-reported. Go ahead and take care of the incident. If it shuts everything up, then that's fine. That doesn't really bother me. But UT baseball off to a little bit of a slow start. Let me tell you why that don't matter. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. The real problem is Tennessee just came out of the gate just blaring last year. I mean, they were on fire. And I think that may have it definitely spoiled Tennessee fans because I are one. But when you watch a team come out and play that well, sometimes you definitely get spoiled and you get kind of content, and you think that, oh well, they're going to just run through everybody. And I don't, this year when the season started, I guess everybody thought Tennessee was just going to average 15 runs a game and throw no hitters every game and go 60-0 or whatever. That wasn't going to happen. Obviously not. But Tennessee had a slower start than most Tennessee fans, all Tennessee fans wanted, and definitely a slower start than most people expected. So I understand I don't know if frustration is a word, but I know it's a word. I don't know if it's the right word. And I guess I understand the frustration as a fan. You see basketball is really inconsistent, and of course, the injury to Hendon Hooker and the loss to South Carolina. With football, as a Tennessee fan, you want to see these guys come out and just obliterate everybody. But they came out and they did what every other Tennessee team has done for the last decade at least, and that was kind of screw around for a little bit. Last few games, they've been much better, and that's good. That's good. But Tennessee fans, I just wanted to tell you real quick, hey, listen. Tennessee got off to a super hot start last year and then lost to Notre Dame in a regional. So if they're going to wait and use all this momentum or whatever it is that they got, if they're going to wait and use it at the end of the year, that's going to be better for them. So don't let a few losses in February get to you. I know, like I said, it was a slow start. I know that baseball's really been hard to basketball's been kind of hard to watch at a few points this season, especially I know they beat South Carolina the other day, but the Zakai Ziegler injury, we're going to talk about that on our next take, by the way, in just a minute. But I understand that watching the basketball team, probably that's really frustrating, and that is the right word. So I get it. Everybody wanted to watch baseball. Here's the good thing, though. Listen, if y'all want to watch somebody dominate, go watch the softball team. They've been killing everybody. Karen Weekly, actually, softball coach, just won her 1,000th victory. That's actually a very awesome accomplishment for her. So check them out. Check out some softball. If you like softball, Tennessee's pretty good. They're also very good at baseball. It's still a little bit of a slow start. Let them warm up. Let them get going. Sorry, I didn't know what that was. But anyway, I think it's okay. I think it's okay to have a little bit of a slow start. It is how you end. It's not how you start, or it's how you finish, not how you start. But I wouldn't let a few games, like I said, in February really bother me just yet, especially when Tennessee gets all of their guys back from suspension or injury or whatever may be happening. Vitello, of course, has to come back and not be suspended for whatever it was UT suspended him for. So that's important. But slow start, Tennessee fans, don't let it bother you too bad. That's okay. They'll be fine. One other thing, we're going to move to basketball. Chris Burke, the Tennessee Volunteers first baseman, he just hit his 5th or 6th home run of the season already. He is halfway to UT's career home run mark. He's played, 9 games into his sophomore season? That Burke kid is fun to watch. So y'all keep an eye on him. But let's move on to basketball. As I just stated a second ago, Zakai Ziegler did tear his ACL the other night against South Carolina. I believe it was South Carolina. I may be wrong on that point. But regardless, I said this about Hendon Hooker, and I get that Hendon Hooker made a much bigger impact to the football team. I don't know. That may not be. Well, Hendon Hooker's made a bigger impact to the football team than Ziegler did to the basketball team. But it feels like a lot of correlation, and it feels like there's just a lot of similarities between both injuries. And I'm going to say a lot of the same things that I said when Hendon got hurt. And for Zakai Ziegler, listen, if you're not a Tennessee fan, I understand that you might see Tennessee players or Tennessee fans or the school in general as villains, and you may not like them. And by and large, there are a lot of reasons to feel that way. I know a lot of Tennessee fans. We are, for lack of a better word, vicious. That's what I can think of right now. And I can understand why you would hate Tennessee or you hate their fans. But Zakai Ziegler, I feel like is a good human being. And I'm not. I mean, I'm just really not I'm not a bad person. I don't go out and hurt people, but I'm not necessarily a good guy, where I feel like Zakai Ziegler is a really good person. And he's done a lot to help the community around him. And of course, he had the issue, I believe it was a house fire last year, and UT, Vol Nation just, they showed up and bought him and his mama, a new house and stuff like that. And I just, for some reason, the only thing I can really think about when a player like Ziegler tears his ACL is that doesn't make sense, and it doesn't feel right, and it's not right. It's almost as if, like, good things do happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people. Ziegler didn't deserve to tear his ACL. He really didn't. You're talking about a good person that's done a lot for other people. He does a lot for the community in Knoxville. He's meant a lot to this team, not just as a player, but I think it was Meshack that said after the energy that nobody could replace him. And it's not about his ability as a player, but it's his energy, it's his role on the team. You're talking about a really good kid that does a lot for his team and means a lot to his teammates. And it just doesn't, regardless of Tennessee and how their season ends, Ziegler being there would definitely help, continue the season on. But regardless of how the team ended, his season should have ended a little bit happier than that. I mean, he should have been able to finish out his season. And I don't know really what I'm saying, but I guess that it obviously doesn't make sense sometimes. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't, I don't know who's behind all the curtains and pulling the strings, but it just feels like there are some kids, and I wouldn't want anybody to get hurt, but it just seems like the kids that do get hurt, it's like, why is it those kids? Why is it always some of the best, the most outstanding people that we lose to injury? I don't know. It's aggravating that the young man had the rest of his senior year stripped away, just like Hendon Hooker. It's aggravating that. I mean, as a Tennessee fan, I have this undying fear that Tennessee's going to lose in the round of the 32 anyway. I mean, I just feel like they're going to lay an egg against somebody like Dayton and get ran or something. I'm scared of that anyway. I mean, I feel like Bernie and Ernie could be on this team in their prime, and they're still going to find a way to fall apart when they're not supposed to. I feel that way anyway, regardless of who plays. But Zakai should have had the opportunity to finish out his regular season. Karma's not real. All you people talk about karma and do the right thing and all that stuff, that none of that's real, because good people continue to get crapped on by whatever karma or universal effect that you think is real. It's not. The worst people in the world are the ones with all the power. So it's heartbreaking that a really great young man loses his senior season, and I hate that. Now, as far as what it means for the team, I feel bad for Santiago Vescovi, because now he's got to be point guard again, and I know he hates being point guard. Maybe he doesn't hate it, but having Ziegler obviously makes it easier on everybody. I think you're going to have to see somebody like Jemai Mashack really step up now, and I think Eric Edmondson, who is my biological father, he calls Mashack controlled chaos. Maybe he said uncontrolled chaos once, but he's controlled chaos. He just flies around. He plays, with a lot of intensity, but sometimes he doesn't know exactly what he's doing. But Mashack's going to have to step up, and all of the players are going to have to step up. But especially from a guard perspective, Vescovi and Mashack are both going to have to, take on more. And Edwards, the young freshman, it would have been nice to get him some more playing time, and he's obviously not ready, but he's probably going to play a little bit more as well. Now, I will say, man, there were a few instances this year where, Tennessee might have lost whatever game they were in, but Ziegler was the only dude putting the ball in the hoop. So let's just hope and pray to whatever God you believe in that Tennessee can find some kind of offense without Ziegler on the court, because sometimes they don't find an offense with Ziegler on the court. So, man, I don't know. It is going to be interesting to see how this team reacts. They did all love Zakai, and it's not like he's completely gone. He's still around the program, but it's obviously different not having that guy on the court. So we're going to see how they adjust to that. Of course, March Madness is right around the corner, and that's you're going to be hard pressed to find a better tournament. And I know people love the World Cup, whatever. I'm not going to sit here and argue for soccer. I love March Madness. I think it is the best tournament in all of sports, and I'm ready to watch and see what happens. So, we're going to do one more DMA read, and then we're going to talk about some high school sports, and then I'm going to let you boys and girls go home. Okay? So, Casey's Take, again, brought to you by DMA Orthopedics and Dr. Anthony Tropiano. Dr. Anthony Tropiano provides patients with prompt, effective treatment using the best technology available and in a manner that is compassionate and understanding of their needs. Dr. Tropiano is a board-certified orthopedic surgeon. Call 615-441-4522 today. That's 615-441-4522. Come on.
Here at Dixon Medical Associates, we've got you covered from neck to toe. Our orthopedics team offers services in sports medicine, foot and ankle reconstruction, spinal surgery, and more. We also have in-house imaging and physical therapy. Dixon Medical Associates. We specialize in what moves you.
Well, as per usual, we're going to talk high school sports with the final take of the day. We're already at 25 minutes, so I'm going to get through this kind of quickly. First of all, we'll start over in Cheatham. All of the Cheatham area schools, the public schools anyway, their seasons are over for basketball. Sycamore and Cheatham girls both lost earlier this week, along with the Cheatham boys. All the other teams in the area had already lost, but those 3 teams lost earlier this week in region semifinal action, so their season is over. We also had some wrestling last week. Tel Magnus from Harpeth, he was the Cheatham area's only state champion. But Sycamore did have 2 second place runner-up, Luke London and Logan Heckert, both runner-up. I want to say Dylan Davenport finished 5th. I think Harpeth had Landon Turner. I want to say he finished runner-up. Daniel White and Aiden Alvarez from Cheatham County Central. They both also I want to say, I think Daniel White finished 3rd and Aiden Alvarez finished 5th, and I may be wrong on some of those. But we had some state wrestling over in Dixon. Let's see. Troy Anderson, Michael Cisco, and Stone Grove all competed for Creekwood, while Emily Fuller and Kristen also competed for Dixon. Emily Fuller finished in 5th. And I want to say, let's see. I think Stone Grove may have finished in the 3rd consolation round. But anyway, as far as Dixon basketball goes, the Creekwood boys lost last Saturday in the region semifinals, so their season ended then to Murfreesboro Central. Dixon County, though, the Dixon County boys, they beat Northwest on Monday night. Or no, that's wrong. They beat Northwest on Tuesday night. They're going to play later this evening for a region championship against Rossview. I will be out at Clarksville for that game, and I'm so excited. I can't wait. By the way, former Dixon County player Chance Martin he's a forward for Rossview, so that may be an interesting storyline to keep up with tonight. Now for girls basketball, the Dixon girls last night lost the region championship to Clarksville, and the Creekwood girls won their region championship against, I want to say they played Murfreesboro Central Magnet. They did, and they beat them 36-33. Dixon lost 45-40. Real quick, I've only got a few seconds left here, and I'm going to explain something to you. There's some other stuff, too. There's a spring fling this weekend for Dixon. I know soccer's right around the corner. We're definitely going to talk about all that stuff, but I got to tell you about the Dixon game last night. As a reporter, I feel like it's my job to do the best job to just tell you the news. I'm not supposed to make the news. I'm not supposed to make up stuff. I'm just supposed to tell you what happened. And I'm going to do my best to explain what happened during that game last night. But if you weren't there, it's going to be hard to really explain. I got to be honest. I felt like, and I know that I'm already really far into this, but just hang out with me for just another second. Dixon County had the perfect game plan. They executed it perfectly, and there were other things that they were not in control of that didn't go their way. And if you were there, you know what I'm saying. I don't feel like it's the. I don't want to say it, but there were just so many things that really should have went their way but didn't. And right now, if you're a Dixon County Lady Cougar, if you're a player, if you're a coach, or if you're a fan, you should feel shorted because you deserve a region championship right now. And here's the deal. As a reporter, I'll tell you right now, I think Clarksville's a better team than Dixon County. Amari Berry's one of the best female athletes I've ever seen at the high school level. But Dixon County absolutely played better last night, and they deserve to win that game. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. We're going to have a lot more stuff to talk about next week. Hopefully some region championship for Dixon County boys, and hopefully some sectional wins, sub-state wins for Dixon County and Creekwood girls. That'll be Saturday. And Dixon will play in a sub-state. The boys will play in a sub-state game Monday. If they win, they host. If they lose, they'll be on the road. Again, I'm going to get all that. I'll tell you next week. Make sure y'all come back. Thanks for hanging out with me. Y'all have a good evening.